What's up everybody, I'm Outcast01 and today I'm going to show you this really cool Guardian farm that I came up with for 1.17 that's going to allow you to get all of the normal Guardian drops, but also take care of getting some of the new stuff for 1.17, like the Glow Squid ink sacs. And with that being said, let's get into it. First thing you gotta do is you gotta find a ocean monument. And you know what these all look like at this point in time. You just gotta travel the oceans of your world till you find something that looks like this. And like all Guardian farms, the first thing you gotta do is start setting up the perimeter of your Guardian farm in order to get things going for the next few steps. And those next few steps consist typically of getting everything drained out to the base platform of the Guardian farm that you're going to be constructing, filling in the spaces. And for this farm, there's going to be a lot of filling in because we're going to be wanting to take care of getting all of the new stuff. We have to go below the level of the platform for the original ocean monument, which means any space underneath the platform you're going to have to fill in. Now, that seems like kind of a daunting task, but with the pits we're going to dig out, there's going to be more than enough material to fill in the spaces underneath the platform and make sure that there's no spawnable areas underneath. Once we've got everything all dug out, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step of laying out where we're going to put our towers. Now the towers are going to be centered in these spaces between the second and third pillar from the original Guardian, or from the original Ocean Monument floor. From there, we need to dig out some spaces for the pits. And these pits are going to be these 21 by 21 diamond shapes that go all the way down to Y level 20. We want to go down to Y level 20 because we're going to want some room for all of the glow squid to spawn, as well as other things. Now, obviously, this is going to take you some time to do, but once you get your pits all the way dug out and the spaces underneath the platform all filled in, and you can't leave it as water, unfortunately, because we're trying to get glow squid, and glow squid will spawn in any water source block that has 0 light level. So if you leave the space open with filled in water, you're going to be getting oxalotls as well as glow squid spawning in spots where you don't want them to be. Now once you've got your pits dug out and everything filled in around the base of the platform, we're going to want to go ahead and dig out some water channels, set up some kind of collection system. You always want to do your collection system first, because once you get water above the floor of the Guardian farm, mainly in this case it's Y level 40 that is down here, you're going to run into the problem of Guardians starting to spawn like crazy. Once the Guardians start spawning, it just makes things a lot more difficult. But anything below the platform level, the Guardians will not spawn. And so what I've done here is I've set up a 3x3 flowing water channel that connects two of the pits together, and then a connecting channel down the middle. You can do whatever you want. It really comes down to what you're going to do for your own personal collection system. I'm just doing it this way for the sake of symmetry for this particular build, but you can do whatever you want, wherever you want. Just remember that if you have any water source blocks above the level of this platform, they have to be outside the boundary of the ocean monument. Otherwise, you'll be having Guardians spawning inside of your water tower streams, or whatever it is you use if you have any water out there. If you're using hoppers, or not hoppers, if you're using droppers and dispensers to make item elevators going up, that shouldn't be a problem for the Guardians, but other setups will be a little more problematic just because of the nature of how the Guardian mechanic works with spawning areas. Once we've got the pits all dug up, we want to go back in and we want to lay in our magma at the bottom of each pit. Now, these pits have a single 1 block high lip around the outside edge. And this is for the next step, which is when we're going to start setting up our collection system at the bottom of each pit to funnel everything into those water channels. From there, we want to go ahead and set up these fence gates or fences so that any guardians that fall down here will not be able to fall into the water channel and then end up in our collection system where they will not die. The magma will do the majority of the killing for us and drop them below the level of the spawning area far enough that more guardians will continue to spawn. From there, we're going to build this checkerboard pattern of soul sand and stone. And this is to create the water bubble columns that will push everything up to the top of these towers we're going to build, but also the stone will allow the glow squid to spawn. Glow squid will not spawn over a cobblestone variant. It has to be the stone variant. In this case, I'm just using plain old simple stone, just because it's the simplest thing around, and it's very easy to get. Now, the easiest way you can put the water in around this and still have a chance to continue working that I've found is to go ahead and have a couple stacks of ice to go ahead and make the setup for the water. Once this is all set up, you can simply just throw down torches on top of each one of these ice blocks, and as the torch melts the ice, they'll break and drop and go into your collection system for you to collect later on. Or just not even worry about it. It's up to you what you want to do with that. And so with the water all set up and ready to go, we now have our collection system all set up in all 4 of our pits. And with the 4 pits all set up for the collection, we can go ahead and start building up our towers. Now, these towers are made with the tinted glass, so that means you are going to have to find some of those geodes that are underground and collect up a large number of the amethyst crystals in order to make the tinted glass. We need the tinted glass because, again, we can't let any light get into these areas or the glow squid will not spawn. With our towers all set up and built up to the top of sea level here, we're going to want to go ahead and set up a bunch of pillars of ice. Now, ice, again, is the simplest way to fill a space with water, and you don't have to put ice in every single space. Because of the way Minecraft works, you just need a source block every other block in order to get water to fill a space, because 2 adjacent source blocks will then fill the space between them. Now, because of the pits being elevated and not having a floor, the water simply flows out and doesn't create a source block. If we didn't have that lip down there, the whole floor would be filled up with water, and then the collection system wouldn't work. You would have to set up something like with mine carts or a large number of hoppers, and a lot of servers aren't going to be happy with you if you do that on a server or even just a single player world, because hoppers do create a lot of lag, and it's just something that isn't necessarily you want to deal with. Now, water will flow 7 blocks from a source block, which is exactly how wide these pillars are. And we want to have this gap here as wide as it is, because of if the guardians are up here bouncing around like they do, I've actually seen them bounce off of the wall and back into the farm and get stuck up here. By having this wide gap, it gives them a chance to go all the way out beyond the point where they can bounce back into the flowing water up here and stop everything happening and gumming up the works. So by having this wide pit down below, it enables them to fall down and get collected down below. And once we have all of this set up, the next thing we want to do is fill the tops up with more ice. This is so that when we break this first block at the top here, it will allow all of the water to flow out nice and neat and complete the top of the collection system. If we try and put a source of water on top of water, it just goes out to one spot and that's it. It doesn't flow out. It needs a solid surface underneath it for it to flow out. So with our top collection system all ready to go, we need to go ahead and set up the next part of our system, which is the containment area for the Guardians. We want to have a border around everything so that they don't bounce off into the floor of the Guardian farm and start wreaking havoc with whoever may be down in there. Now, I've also gone ahead and put the cap several blocks below the level of the top of the pillars here. That is just to try and reduce any light bleeding in through the side of the pillars and keeping as much possible space for the glow squid to spawn. With the caps in place, the water collection systems in place, the moving systems all in place, we then can go ahead and move on to the next and final step, which is going ahead and taking all of that ice that we put inside, breaking it, and turning it all into flowing water. And with that all said and done, this farm is ready to go, and Guardians will start spawning as soon as there are source blocks of water inside the range of the Ocean Monument space. And this is a very, very productive farm. This rudimentary system I have down here cannot keep up with how much materials this farm produces, and you can do whatever you want to decorate your farm. This is just a quick, simple, dirty configuration that I did, but you can be as grandiose as you want with it and take much advantage of the new blocks available in 1.17 and make it as pretty as you want. Really, your imagination is the limit. Now, this is a setup that I've been doing in a survival server that a friend of mine owns, and it has been insane. I can't keep up with how much materials are being collected by this system. And hopefully you guys come up with your own versions of this and have a great time building it, enjoy what it can do, and just in general enjoy the build and come up with your own palette and your own design for the entire border just to keep it interesting. I went ahead and threw in some conduits at the top there just so that if I go out into the surrounding area and want to do a little bit of drowned farming for some copper, I can do so. Because drowns do spawn in the areas around Guardian farms or anywhere that there's a large source of water. And there you have it, people, the bioreactor build. Now with this farm getting over 8,000 drops an hour, and not just of the normal stuff you get from a Guardian farm, but we're also getting some of the newer stuff from 1.17, primarily the Glow Squid ink sacs. A lot of other farms can do a lot more things per hour, but this farm you get a wider range of items. So with that in mind, if you think the video deserves a like, go ahead and hit that like button, share it with your friends, and if you build it, let me know. I'd like to know if you came up with a different block palette that you really enjoyed and how it's working out for you. So until next time, it's Outcast01, and I hope you guys have a great day Minecrafting.